In this calculus tutorial, I wanted to show you guys how to take the derivative of these two functions. And if you take a look, they both are in the fraction form, but let me tell you, you don't need the quotient rule for this one. Alright? So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the first one right here. We have 5t over t cubed minus t minus 1. As we can see, we have 3 terms on the bottom. Do not split the fraction. Alright? Only for this one, when we have 5t, we can split the fraction. So I would like to just show you guys this right here real quick. For this one, your first move should really be t cubed over 5t and then minus t over 5t and then minus 1 over 5t. This is okay. But if you do that right here and say this is 5t over t to the third power minus 5t over t minus 5t over 1, this right here, it's wrong. You just get a 0 right away for this question, right? So don't make mistake. We have to use the quotient rule for the first one. That being said, let's just go ahead and get the quotient rule ready. I'm going to put down f prime for the derivative notation. And it's a quotient. We start with a fraction. We are going to end with a fraction. Get the fraction bar ready. Let's go ahead and square the denominator first. I am going to have t cubed minus t minus 1 squared, like so. And then for the top right here, we first write down the bottom function. It has 3 terms, so make sure you put down parentheses. We have t cubed minus t minus 1. And then we have to multiply by the derivative of the top function. The derivative of 5t is just a 5. So we multiply by 5 right here. Then we subtract the top function. You just write that down. And then you multiply by the derivative of the bottom. The derivative of t cubed is 2t. Sorry, is 3t squared. But it has 2 terms, right? Because the derivative of minus t is minus 1, and the derivative of minus 1 is 0. It has 2 terms, so make sure you put down parentheses right here, all right? And of course, you can just split it as well. You can say the top function, you just write it down on the side to make it clear. But that's just practice. Look at the original function and write down the quotient rule, so make sure you practice that. All right, now let's just simplify this. To do so, I'm just going to distribute the 5. We have 5t cubed minus 5t minus 5. And then here, we have to multiply this in. Negative 5 times 3, so it's negative 15. And then t times t squared is t cubed. And then negative 5t times negative, so it's negative, and then 5t. All in all, everything divided by this. On the bottom, don't multiply it out. Usually just keep it as how it is. T cubed minus t minus 1 squared. And now let's just kind of see what we can do. A lot of 5s, huh? But this minus that, we can combine terms. 5t cubed minus 15t cubed is negative 10t cubed. And then, oh, look, this and that cancel out. Negative 5t plus 5t is just out. And then we have a minus 5, just like that. All over that, t cubed minus t minus 1 squared. So that's pretty much it. And some of you guys might be wondering, should we factor out negative or should we factor out negative 5? Not really, because usually, all right, you just keep the bottom as factorative form, but for the top, you want to keep it in the expanded form. Because if you factored it, then somebody will ask you, why don't you multiply it out? So you can never please everybody, but this is usually the deal. All right, now, this one is easier in the sense that you don't need to use the quotient rule. But it might be harder because if you didn't notice that we can avoid the quotient rule by doing this, it might be harder because if you use the quotient rule for this, it's not going to be so pretty. So remember, we have 5 times t, just one thing. You can split the fraction like so, and then that's what we did. Now, let's fix the power before we do the derivative. So this is g of t, still just the original. Here, we have 1 over 5, right? And we have t to the third power, and this is t to the first. So we do 3 minus 1, t squared, and I'm just going to write it like this. t squared over 5, right? But let me avoid putting down this as a fraction form, because I know some people will be like, it's a fraction. Let's use the quotient rule. No. Here's the little tip. 1 over 5, write it like a coefficient at the front like this. And then t cubed over t to the first, write it as t squared. Much better this way. Next, we have t over t, that just cancel out to be 1. But we have the minus, and that's 1 over 5. All right. And lastly, for this nothing here, right? Just 1, right? So no t. But we have t to the first power. So this is what we do. Let's write down the minus 1 over 5, right? And then let's put this up to become t to the negative 1 power. So we can use the power rule. So this is how we get ready for doing that. Now, derivative in action for this one is just the power business. Okay, so here, take the derivative. We first put the 2 to the front and then minus 1. 2 times 1 over 5 is just 2 over 5. And then t, 2 minus 1 is just 1, so that's okay. The derivative of minus 1 over 5, this is just a number, so we get 0. Don't write it down. Lastly, this is a negative 1 for the power. Put that to the front and then minus 1. Originally, it was a minus, but we multiply by this minus 1, so it becomes a plus. And then 1 over 5, and then t to the negative 2. That's pretty much it. And if you want to leave the answer like this, that's totally okay. Or if you prefer, you can also write it as 2 over 5t plus bring this down, so we have 1 over 5t squared. That's it. If you guys need more help, I have more videos over there to help you. Check out the playlist. That's all.